What is up, my peeps? Joshua Smith here at GSD Studios. First off, thank you so much for checking out today's content. I'll make this extremely fast, but I need to plug our sponsors that make this show possible. Our first sponsor is PerfectStormNow.com, by far the most effective and affordable real estate agent website and database platform in the industry. It is the system I use to sell 50 plus homes every single month. Check it out at www.perfectstormnow.com. Our second sponsor is my personal 90-day mastery bootcamp, which is, again, my personal real estate agent mentorship program where we spend 90 days together, 12 live sessions. You get daily access to me inside the program. You guys, we go so extremely in-depth. There's nothing that's incomplete about this program. You're going to get all the tools that you need to go out there and crush it inside your real estate business. Make sure to go check us out, www.90daymastery.com. You can watch in-depth videos of exactly what's covered to see if the program is for you. See all the raving testimonials we have from all of the amazing agents and clients that went through the program. So make sure to check us out, www.90daymastery.com. All right, you guys, let's jump on into today's content. What is up, my peeps? Joshua Smith here with another GSD mode interview. Every single week, we interview top entrepreneurs and just straight up top badasses that they're dominating their space. These are people choosing to not live a life of mediocrity, but instead to go out there and do amazing, big, epic things with this short existence of life that we have. So today, you guys, special guest on the show. This is actually his third time being on the show over the past few years. But I wanted to bring him on again. He's a good friend of mine. But he also is just doing so many epic, amazing things that I think we can all learn a lot from that can take our businesses 100% to the next level. So, our guest today, you guys, is a professional speaker. He trains and coaches entrepreneurs on how to go out there and become great professional speakers and as well as coaches, online coaches. And we were just talking before we hit the record button. It's like, man, it is impossible, especially in today's day and age, to become a great leader without being a great speaker. I mean, they're so simultaneous. It's so important. So with that being said, Christopher Kai, welcome to the show again, my friend.
Yo, Josh, it's always a pleasure being on your show. The people that you have on your show are amazing. I get emails and I've had people sign off my programs based on being on the GSD, and I'm always referring my entrepreneur friends and clients to you as well. Just kind of get a little backstory. I mean, even how Josh and I met, I wrote this book about networking with billionaires and executives, and it's really about how do you connect. And the story goes like this. A young man named, I can't remember his name now. He's a Swedish guy, and he reached out to you, reached out to me, and he says, hey, I'd love to learn from you. And he essentially connected me and Josh. So we live in a world where Facebook has 2 billion viewers, and so anyone that wants to connect with other people, it's possible. And Josh and I, we connected through a guy that neither of us know physically, but he's somewhere in Sweden. But the point is, this is how you build businesses. And as a backstory, as Josh was saying, I just got paid my biggest speaking engagement ever, where right now I charge 15 to 20 grand for a speech, but this is actually half of a $30,000 speech. And I remind myself, my clients, because I started getting paid $50 for my first speech, and I used to get punished in school for talking too much. And then I just never spoke well in high school. And then my first job out of college, my first full-time job, was I got fired for lack of motivation. And talk about successful entrepreneurs. For those of you who are fans of Warren Buffett doesn't have his college diploma on his wall. He doesn't have his master's degree from Columbia University on the wall, which is a very prestigious school, as many of you know. He has a Dale Carnegie public speaking class certificate on his wall. And this is the guy that's worth $80 billion because he says that class changed my life. And that class and that skill set, public speaking, will last you 50 to 60 years, which is why I call public speaking next level networking. Josh and I, we shared a stage last year where you curated and hosted called Next Level Scottsdale. Well, speaking really is next level networking because I literally came back from Europe for a European speaking tour, and I've been clearing out some of these business cards, like literally a stack of business cards I'm throwing out. And most of us know, honestly, we get business cards, we meet people, where does it go? But if you have a speaker, you go on there, you're elevated, you have the status, you're a VIP, You have a higher probability of sales, referrals, getting more clients as realtors, having fans and followers. And then people might think, well, I'm not a speaker, Chris. I'm like, well, you can be. It's a mindset. And it's about looking at people that are speakers. Like Elon Musk isn't a great speaker. I got to interview him. Eckhart Tolle, who Oprah Winfrey said is the Mick Jagger of spirituality, is a horrible speaker. I just fell asleep. And then Stephen Hawkins can't even speak. He's in a wheelchair and he's a physicist. But I say this to your audience, Josh, because we all have these limiting beliefs. And when I say you want to level up your game, start understanding how to speak better, because even if you don't speak on a stage, you build confidence in yourself, a clarity of message. And with you, Josh, you're like always full of passion, energy, and commitment. And that conveys really well. Even though you say, oh, I don't really speak a lot, Chris, but like you have a lot of great skill sets as a speaker.
Yeah. So, and I appreciate the kind words, especially coming from you. That means a lot, right? So, but it's one of these things where, because I'll get it, people that will come to my events. And I don't speak near the level that you do, but I don't know, speak a half a dozen times a year. And people at the end will come up and be like, oh man, you got such a great gift. And of course I'm appreciative of the compliment, but it's like, there was no gift, right? I'm like most entrepreneurs, we're introverted people. We're not, we have stage fright like everybody else, man. I mean, for me, I joined Toastmasters, for a year, and not so I could be a great speaker, but I had to do that just to be able to develop the confidence to get in front of a larger group of people. Like when I first started my real estate company, I couldn't even get up in front of my own staff, my own people that work for me, put them in a room together. Even though it was only like 7 people, like I'd have to sit down at the conference table and host the meetings because I was, too chicken to get up in front of everybody. So again, even if you don't want to be on a stage like Chris is with 10,000 people, right? You still got to speak and influence your employees and other things. And it's so powerful. But, I know you, Chris, I mean, you were your background story, and you guys we'll have links so you can listen to Chris's background story, but extremely, extremely shy, right? Like, if you guys met Chris at 17 years old, you would have never guessed in a million years he's on stages speaking, with the most elite people on the planet, right? So it isn't a gift, right? It's a learned skill, right?
And that's key. It's a learned skill. This guy named K. Anders Ericsson, he's based out of Florida, and he talked about how all peak performers across every industry, it's what he calls deliberate practice. It's not just about practicing. It's not just about doing things a long time. And he pretty much said, just because you think a doctor has 20 years of experience, you might think that doctor has 20 years of experience is more skilled than a person that has 5 years of experience. But he said that all of us kind of plateau. And the great example is if we drive for 5 years, we get to a point where it's instinctive. But a race car driver will start having deliberate practice to understand how to drive faster and how to drive curves. And life is the same way, where we think that we're great at things, whether sales, speaking, following up, or real estate. But it's about deliberate practice where you're constantly leveling up. And this is based on science, And you're right. Like I talked a lot as a kid, so I got in trouble. But it was always because I just had all this energy. But it wasn't until I realized through deliberate practice that, you know what, Josh, you don't give yourself enough credit. You're a really modest guy. But when people say you have a gift, you have this ability to share your story that people believe in. Because the best people that are storytellers are genuine. And you have that to T. That's why we get along. That's why the first conversation we had like 2 years ago, like, dude, what's up, man? Let's figure out how to work together. And we planned this event where, you're the flagship leader, and it went well. And, I see you a friend for life. But going back to why speaking is important, why you really have to have deliberate practice, it's about leveling up your game. And there's a reason why we're afraid, because back in the day, when we actually went away from our tribe, it was almost as if we're going to die, because if we're away from our tribe, we have the higher probability of getting eaten by some animal. And so when you're standing on stage, it's literally physiological. It's our evolution. So the reason why we're afraid, but also it wasn't in our favor to be alone. Because if you're alone on a stage, then someone's going to eat you in time, but we still have the amygdala in our mind. So a lot of the stuff is going on where it doesn't serve us well when we have this fear. But as you know, through your practice, through your confidence, and people might not know this, here's a little secret I'm going to share with everyone. You might think, so next month, again, I'm going to be emceeing the largest fintech conference in the world. Last year, they had 11,000 people. I'm moderating the entire main stage event. Steve Wozniak, co-founder of Apple, will be there. And so you might think, whoa, Chris, you're standing in front of a few thousand people. It's actually scarier to stand in front of 20 people in a room than 2,000 or even 20,000, because when you're on a bigger stage, you almost feel alone. The spotlights are on you. The stage is massive. You're there with a microphone. You don't see anything because the spotlights are on you. So you see the people that are 20 people as opposed to 2,000. So for people in the room, you might think, or in this webinar, in this podcast, like, wow, that's crazy. But just know that it's possible as long as you speak the truth and you focus on the audience. You don't focus on yourself. Every single time I talk to people saying, oh, Chris, I'm kind of nervous, this or that, they're focusing on themselves. But if they focus on the fact that you inspire people, Josh, you uplift people, you help people, you inform people, then it's about them, and you really flip around the thing and think that when you go to a speech, Josh, do you get inspired?
When I go
to a speech, when you're a good speaker.
Well, if it's a good speaker, absolutely.
Right? You're sitting there, you're like, man, this guy's amazing. You have the aha moment, and you're like, man, this is amazing, right? And so that's what someone else is experiencing when you're speaking.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so true. And I've just found, because for me, like, I will honestly say that I have by no means overcome my fear of public speaking. I've just learned how to face it, right? Like, I get up there, I'll literally hit the bathroom, 10 times in 30 minutes before I go to stage, because I got to pee every 5 minutes because the nerves are there, the butterflies are there. I get wicked cotton mouth, right? But like, especially at bigger events, like, I'll open with that. Right? I'll be like, hey guys, I apologize. I got to put this stool over here and put my water up here. I got to just level with you. Public speaking freaks me out, right? So you got to bear with me, but it helps that relatability, right? Because then people can put themselves in your shoes, right? Now, you get a Tony Robbins guy on stage. It's going to be a powerful message, but it's almost like the dude's, it's hard to relate with that because he looks superhuman, right? So, those that are jumping on, they're like, don't be afraid to even share that. It's gonna enhance that relatability. The more the audience can relate with you. That's why, like, I like to open with my story of showing how I overcame obesity, showing how, I was broke as a joke and then made it and then lost everything, got myself in $100,000 of credit card debt and had to rebuild from that. Because I'm looking just to connect with those people that have had those similar pain points. And you definitely don't have to be some polished, amazing, superhuman style looking speaker to go out there and have a massive impact.
No, what you just said, Josh, it's so true. It's all about authenticity, because like I said, I always remind people that I grew up with no money, no access, no connections. My mom was a school teacher. My father was a case manager. Again, got punished. I had a reading disability. I was really short. So when I say these stories, and stories are 22 times more memorable than facts, people start saying, wow, maybe I can do this, Chris. If Chris was this way, if Josh was this way, it's really possible. Because I can easily stand on a stage and say, yeah, I've given over 1,000 presentations. I just came back from Spain and Lithuania. Yeah, those are all factually true. But what's most meaningful and what you mentioned most relatable is the fact that I didn't start this way. I didn't start making $30,000 for a speech. I got started getting paid $50 at an all-black Pentecostal church in Stamford, Connecticut. And it was my serendipitousness that even got that thing. But it's all about serving people, giving them value. And in time, if they're your clients, great. If not, you're still serving value. That's why every time I'm on this podcast, I love it because I get great feedback. And you are an awesome person that I love talking to. And it's about that vibe, like one of the things about being a speaker, not only will you be able to elevate your game and your clarity and your confidence in pushing through your fears, you also are on a different level of networking. When you're in the speaker hospitality suite, it's a different level of networking. I was in an event I spoke at in Atlanta, and you get the speaker hospitality suite, but then you get invited to stuff later on, like the chairman's dinner. And the chairman's dinner, you have like the CEO of a bank there and a tech entrepreneur there and a reporter. And Robin Williams' son happens to drop by. From a networking standpoint, because I'm most known for this book that blew up and went viral about how do you network with billionaires, but it's still about how do you network with anyone in general. And it's about sharing those vulnerabilities, sharing those stories. And a lot of people, I think, overthink things. They think too transactionally. They think, oh, wow, how do I get to the next event? How do I get more business cards? It's not about how many business cards, because I'm showing you this is a stack of business cards that I'm throwing out literally, because I don't even have business cards. But again, it's a personal choice because I'm a speaker, but it's more possible than they might think. Let me give you a very specific example. I have a colleague of mine, she's a realtor. She also is very passionate in the homeless community. It doesn't hurt or help her to think only as a realtor, if she were to go out and start talking about homelessness, which she's passionate about, and going to more high-end places in Beverly Hills, Chamber of Commerce, Rotary Club, and talking about her passion for homelessness, she's going to get a lot more clients, even though it's completely unrelated to real estate, because she's sharing her vulnerability, she's showing her passion, but she's elevated to a speaker status where she's going to stand on a lot more than what I see a lot of realtors going to different events, like a Tom Ferry event. Great, you learn about other realtors, but you should be going to actual places where they can be your clients. And that's the biggest thing that I see in realtors, especially because I've worked with thousands of them. I've spoken to them, coached them, and I'm saying to them, you have to stand out. Like you stand out, Josh. You have all these different companies. You're speaking. You have a software thing. You're a buff dude because you're passionate about health, but you stand out. And so though I've met thousands of realtors, you're like in the top 3 to 5. And you're probably you're the top one I know in Arizona. But that's not by coincidence. It's by hard work, dedication. You build a team out. You're always giving. And even with us, there's so many times I called you up, hey, Josh, can you kind of walk me through some of this internet stuff? And you're open about that. And that's kind of why, I really respect you for that. And for the people on this podcast, think more long-term. Think more, how can I serve? But also think about how you can serve Josh. Like, we've worked on some business type stuff too. And it's just about both personal and business.
Yep, 100%. I mean, it's, there's a saying in business that your network equals your net worth. And it is so ungodly true, man. It's once you have your network and you're dialed in your network and you lead, you develop a great network, like Chris said, from coming from a place of contribution, right? Because everybody has some element that they can help somebody else out with. And even if it's volunteering time, whatever that may be, but once you have the right network dialed in, like I have no fear of losing everything. I mean, I could just be totally wiped out, lose everything, but I know I can massively rebuild, right? One, because of my work ethic and the knowledge that I have, but I mean, having that just amazing network around me would just catapult it. And so when it comes to speaking though, I know that you talk about getting paid, $50, for that first speech, and now, getting $30,000+ for a speech. But, for a lot of speakers, they want to get into speaking and they want to start making the big bucks. And like I always tell people, it's like, man, you got to get in your reps. It's like, okay, if you want a big chest as a dude in the gym, like you got to put in the years and you got to put in the reps, right? And I've taken a different path. This is where I need to really pick your brain and figure out how to monetize on this, because I haven't done a good job of monetizing my speaking. But before I even got my first offer to get paid a decent chunk of money to go out there and speak, I probably did 150, plus free speeches. And not only free, I remember one year I with my account, we did all the, end of the year calculations. And it was about $40,000 I invested between airline tickets, hotels, whatever, to go out there and speak and get my name known out there. And like when I'm speaking and sharing a stage with Mark Victor Hansen, right? He might be getting paid 30, 40 grand to be there. I'm paying to be there essentially, but nobody else knows that. Right? So kind of talk to us about that, because everybody wants that, the big money, the big payoff. We're in the instant gratification society now. Kind of, I mean, what should people experience with what they need to go out there and do and put in the work? Because they got to put in the practice, first too. And of course, with your strategies and your coaching, they can fast forward that immensely.
Yeah, life hacks.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, it comes down to hard work, smart work, and hard work. Hard work is you got to put in the time. Join Toastmasters an hour a week. Even doing Facebook Lives. It's just about, you have to get comfortable being on camera because everything is amplified. So the hard work is, are you putting in the time, even if it's just an hour or a few hours a week? Most people don't even do that. The smart work is, if you really want to warrant a price point over $10,000, it really comes down to branding. If your brand is not indicative of your price point, because so many of my clients and people that I meet there, they have phenomenal pedigree. They have experience, they're CEOs, they have a lot of insights, but it doesn't matter if you don't know how to write a great bio, if you don't know how to share your story in a very concise fashion, and really, what is the solution providing? So if you were to Google me, let's say you don't know me, I heard of this Christopher Kai guy. If you Google me, you'll see Huffington Post, Beverly Hills, Billionaires Network, you'll see images of me with Richard Branson, Elon Musk. And I did this intentionally because it's about the branding. And my clients do the same. When my clients can charge $10,000, it's because they've been featured on Forbes. It's because they're a top-selling author. So the smart work is not just applying the time is what K. Anders Ericsson was saying in terms of the hard work. The smart work is, in your case, let's say Josh or anyone that's more successful, you have to start quantifying and qualifying your brand. And the brand comes down to two things. It's really the name recognition and the numbers, which is why I'll say I've given over 1,000 presentations to a global audience from 30 countries. That's a quantifiable branding technique. 1,000 presentations, not many people have done. 30 countries, that's a lot. And then brand recognition is, I just spoke at Google headquarters last in February. I've spoken at a US consulate event in Jerusalem. I've spoken at American Express, but when you start branding yourself as a Fortune 500 guy, all of a sudden it goes from Chris is a speaker and an author to Chris is the #1 best-selling author to Chris is a global speaker who just came back from Europe and traveled 70,000 miles in this year. So when you start adding those numbers, either from your revenue standpoint or the brand recognition, then you start seeing why, oh wow, it makes sense if you go to Eagle Talent, which reps me as a speaker. They bill me currently at $15,000 to $20,000. And Brian Tracy, mind you, is the same price point, and they're also rep Steve Wozniak. But what I'm saying is, if you look at the bios, they'll always have name recognition, some kind of award, some kind of government type stuff, best-selling author, whatever it might be, and shares a stage with Elon Musk. It's always the same across industry, which is why when you watch a movie, let's say you watch Hunger Games, and before Hunger Games came out, they'll say, from the director of Star Wars, or from the director of, so they always associate their brand, which people might not know, to someone else that's much more known, which is why with my program, the GPS program, we're already in 80 cities, 17 countries, and 4 continents, where I built out my global speaking career. Now I codified into a system online where they check out on my website, christopherkai.com, but I tell all my clients, what I call gifters, to use my brand, associate me with them and say, my mentor, Christopher Kai, travels the world. My mentor, Christopher Kai, just spoke at Google. My mentor just flew in from Lithuania and closed clients there, right? But by them associating them with myself, they're already building their credibility, their brand recognition. And so if I'm charging $10,000, $20,000, $30,000, then and they're associating with me, they should already be able to elevate their brand. Does that make sense? It really comes down to the numbers and then the quality. So that's the hard work of spending the time to do some understanding of how to speak well. It's the smart work of just leveraging your brand. And lastly, the hard work. Your heart has to be in it. I mean, as much as I wrote a book about networking, my heart is more so even into the speaking, because I'm helping you, Josh, or helping my clients really carve out, share, define their story, but it's much more global, and we're building a community. For me to go to Lithuania and Europe and sign up 5 or 6 more people from Singapore and Greece and Ireland and UK, it's really living my dream of building a global community. So it's hard work, smart work, and heart work. So the hard work is really what amount of time are you spending? The smart work is, are you spending your time intelligently and quality based, which is your brand, which is the number of things you've done, we quantify it. And the quality is, the types of people you go to and the companies speaking in New York Life. And lastly, hard work, is your heart in it, which is frankly, a lot of people, their heart is not in it. And it shows when you help people, when you talk to me on the phone, your heart is in it. You're like all in, which I admire and respect about that. So it's really those 3 types of work.
Yeah. And man, I mean, we've all been there, at least I know you and I have, Chris, where you get the speaker on stage and you can tell they don't want to be there. They're not passionate about what they care. They don't care about impact. And, now I've yet to meet anybody that's self-made, that's truly successful, that doesn't lead from a place of contribution. It's like you lead from a massive place of contribution, the money follows, and so kind of walk us through your journey of doing this. Cause it's not like, okay, I became a best-selling author first, then I got published, or started being a contributor for Forbes. Then I started speaking. Like, you can start doing this, getting those speaking reps in while you're doing all this other stuff, and do this stuff simultaneously, right?
Absolutely. I mean, again, I've been an entrepreneur. I left my corporate job at American Express 17 years ago. So I've been doing this for a long time. And I just didn't realize how much more elevated you are and how much more opportunity you have as a speaker. I knew in college that speaking was a great platform to serve. I didn't know until becoming a consultant and having my own business that speaking, not only is it a platform to serve, it just scales your business exponentially more. Like, even how I got this gig at the largest fintech conference in the world next month is because I spoke at a conference in Atlanta in April. And I've been able to get a lot of leads from being a speaker because, again, you go to a typical networking events, There's 100 people, 500 people, 1,000 people, everyone gets lost. But as a speaker, you're already elevated. So when I realized the power, importance, and the scalability of as an entrepreneur, being a speaker, and I actually enjoy it, that's when it shifted to not just being a consultant, going to networking events and writing this book. It's about, well, going only now as a speaker to networking events because I'm not going to waste my time. Because, you and I, you put in your hours. And so it's about, okay, I've paid my dues. And now it's about, well, I'm not really going to any events unless I'm a speaker because I already know what's going to happen. I don't have the time for that. I'm building out my own team. So the step-by-step process for those on the podcast, going back to, again, how can I serve you all, is know that it's possible. Have a mindset that it's possible. Know that when I give you examples of Elon Musk, of a Eckhart Tolle, and a Stephen Hawkins, 3 very famous people, and if they can speak on a stage, then it's first just accepting that you can do it. Then it's about what are you going to speak about, and really just step by step. Even if it's doing a basic Facebook Live. When I ask people, do you do Facebook Lives? They go, not really. Well, it's free marketing. How can I just start doing my program last September, October, and make 10, 20 grand already just on Facebook Live so I know that it's a marketable thing? But it's just about taking small steps forward. If it's at your church, if it's at the Rotary Club, if it's at Chamber of Commerce, because people always ask me, hey, Chris, what are some first steps? Do what's closest to you and those that will most support you, which is your church, your Chamber of Commerce, or your Rotary Club. Start simple.
Yep, love it, dude. And then, I know today, right, because of your name's out there and you have the recognition that you have a lot of people approaching you to come speak, but it didn't start that way, right? You had to be intentional about marketing yourself of why you would be a great speaker and could offer value to their audience. So kind of talk about that on the importance of playing offense, if you will, not sitting back and waiting for the calls to ring in, but playing offense to set up your own gigs initially, at least.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's just first understanding who you want to be like and who you want to emulate, because to get paid as a speaker is different from just wanting to speak. And so let's say Keith Ferrazzi is a friend of mine. He wrote the foreword of my book. He's a New York Times bestseller, and he's essentially the networking guru 10 years ago. He's been on CNN. And so I looked at him, I Googled him and said, Keith Ferrazzi. I looked at his speech titles. I looked at his key takeaways. I looked at the people that are repping him. I looked at his speeches. And so I was doing research on the person that is most likely to be in my field of my expertise, because you have to first define what is your expertise. Is it, in your case, real estate? Is it, in your case, entrepreneurship? Is it, in your case, fitness training and health, right? So it's first defining what is your expertise. In my case, it was how do you build successful business relationships to scale your business? So now that you have your specific niche of expertise, then you look at, okay, who's in my specific niche that's killing it, crushing it, owning it? Keith is. And then just dissecting what he writes, and is my bio similar to his, similar status? And if it's not, you got a lot of work to do. And from the purely strategic standpoint and a really like hands-on, tangible standpoint is you have to have a speaking reel. You have to have clips of you speaking, because it's not realistic for you to say you're a speaker, or the people on this podcast say you're a speaker, but no one can see you. So you have to start creating a speaking reel, which essentially is numerous clips of you speaking on ideally bigger stages and people telling you, oh my gosh, you're an amazing speaker, Josh. And again, 3 years ago, most of my speaking was in the educational realm. I did a lot of high-level consulting work, so I didn't really get on the speaking stage as much as I am now on a global level. So I had to create a speaking reel. And that's, again, standing in front of a stage. At first, it was 100-something people. Then your event, for instance, there was like an 800-plus seat stadium. And then I'll be reshooting my speaking reel next month, because there'll be like 4,000 or 5,000 people there. But wherever you are, start where you are. You get a camera, even if it's your smartphone. Get a stand, and start where you are, because people just look at someone else where they are, like you or myself, and they're like, oh, I can't do that. I'm like, no, you can. I mean, even my GPS program, Josh, I deliberately shot my GPS program on my smartphone to prove that you can make good money and make a difference and travel with minimal technology. Because a lot of people get scared, they make excuses. I'm like, I shot that on my smartphone and I know it works. This is about the content of the substance. But to kind of streamline the answer to your question, it's about starting wherever you are, getting comfortable, even with Facebook Live is the simplest thing. And then over time, you have to build up a speaking reel, which has clips of you speaking, which has ideally third-party validation of you, let's say, being featured on Forbes or Huffington Post. And that's why my program has codified all this stuff to build the credibility. Because just because you speak well, you have a solution, you still have to have other people saying things, which is why, my speaking reel is my third rendition over the last 2 or 3 years. I literally have like Elon Musk saying, wow, you know a lot. Diana Knight, who's the only person to swim from Cuba to Miami, saying like, Chris is an amazing speaker. But I do this intentionally, which is why all my clients and all the people I talk to, you can't just say how amazing you are. If someone else isn't saying how amazing you are, then you're not really that amazing.
Right. Yep. No, I love it, dude. And and this comes back to like you talked about with the brand, right? It's Absolutely. Like, this was, I don't know, 3 years ago, but this is when I first started kind of getting into speaking and not knowing where this was going to go. I just knew that I loved it and wanted to eventually do a hell of a lot more for it and hopefully get paid in the future. And I brought in a film crew. I just hired some local filmers, paid them like $300, some kids, and published it. And this was a free event I did, a local event, and I don't know, 150 people maybe that were there. Published on YouTube. I mean, that thing now is, over 150,000 views, right, that's out there. And it just continues. I mean, we're getting another 10,000 a month, downloads and views. And that stuff just kind of eventually goes viral. It's like I look at Eric Thomas, right? So like what really launched his career was that speech that at the college where he's talking about the Socrates story of, him taking out the kid that wanted him to be the mentor and put his head underwater and told him that you got to want success as much as you want to breathe or knowledge as much as you want to breathe. Eric kind of changed the story a little bit. But Eric said, or ET as he's known as, was like, look, that video was out there for 3 years before it took off and went viral. And then, it was like nothing. And then all of a sudden it just started taking off and then millions and millions and millions, right? So, it's just putting your stuff out there, as you said, it becomes so critical.
Yeah, and I actually have tracked it because, again, I haven't really had a lot of social media presence because most of the stuff before this book was working with high-level executives. So if a guy makes $100 million and I'm helping him on strategy, he's not going to care if I have a Twitter account or an Instagram account. But now that I'm more in the social realm, I tracked it. I only had 1,000 views probably last year in 2016. And every month, maybe about 1,000 views. So now I'm at about 18,000 views, which is not a lot. I have about 400 subscribers. But when I started maybe 2 years ago, I had like 6. So even me, I'm still building on my brand. I can easily buy it and whatnot, but it's just about, there comes a tipping point and inflection. Yes, I'm making 30 grand a speech next month, but it's like 17 years, which is why my program, I kind of codified into 5 simple modules where it's like, look, don't waste the time that I did. Don't waste your time creating a speech, creating a website, creating all these things that you think that someone's going to buy because you think that. It's not about you think, it's about looking at the market, what they dictate, and what they're paying for. And what you're saying about, getting a film crew in this day and age is no longer about what you do and what you tell someone you do. It's about showing. Yep. If I can't show you, Josh, that I'm a speaker, then I'm not a speaker. If I can't show you that if you Google Christopher Kai and Forbes, Google Christopher Kai and Inc. Magazine, Google Christopher Kai and Facebook, those are all showing proof, especially as a speaker, because it's not enough to say, I'm a great speaker. So what? I had a guy last year, I was giving a speech at a mastermind for entrepreneurs called Secret Knock. It's a very high-level entrepreneur mastermind with a guy named Greg Reed, and Forbes has mentioned how it's like one of the best events for entrepreneurs. I was sitting next to this guy, and he said, "Oh, how do you know about this event?" I said, "I'm one of the speakers." But I said it very casually, very chill. And he was in disbelief. He's like, "Wait a minute, you're a speaker? You don't have that speaker." I'm like, "What does that mean?" Because I'm just really chill. But trust me when I say, when I get on that stage, I own it. But that's because when I'm on stage. But when I get off the stage, I don't need to prove to anyone. But when they see me online at your event with Elon Musk, like, oh my gosh, Christopher Kai, he's like insane. But I don't need to prove that in that context because it's like, I am who I am, So for the people on this podcast, you have to really start getting out of your head, thinking how amazing of a speaker you are, amazing of a business person you are. You look at your numbers and look at how much you're getting paid or not getting paid, and finding programs and investing in programs like Josh's program or my program, what allows you to cut the line, allows you to have like the carpool lane, like a mentor and a coach that you just save yourself so much time. Because I wish someone told me 17 years ago when I first started, Chris, do this, 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 and this. And it really can be that simple if you have the right context, because I've been doing this for a long time. I just did it yesterday with a client of mine. He's 25 years old, loves music, in Florida. I had a 15-minute bonus call with him, and I walked him through how to turn his passion of music into actual speech title where he reduces stress, because it's been proven empirically that music reduces stress. I created a brand for him called The Rockstar Way of Crushing Stress. Sounds kind of cool, The Rockstar Way of Crushing Stress. And then he also has a framework and a format to create his own online coaching program, That's in a 15-minute call that he invested in my program, which is only $1,000 and it's going to go higher in time. I should have a first annual Gifter Summit coming up in a month at a Hollywood Hills mansion and at a Fortune 500 company, but that's to commemorate our program. But it still goes back to, how am I showing you, Josh, that I'm a speaker? How am I showing someone that I'm an entrepreneur? How am I showing people the results? Which is why I have like 35 testimonials on YouTube, where it's not just me saying how amazing GPS is. It's like I have people from all around the world, young, older, experienced, inexperienced.
So talk to us about GPS, because I'm I like a lot, just like you talked about, we kind of go through the school of hard knocks, and then we eventually wake up and see the value of getting a mentor, not trying to reinvent the wheel, but find somebody that's done it, model them, and then, you can kind of tweak it and perfect it so it fits for you. But I don't get involved in anything anymore without finding the person and paying them. And I don't care how much, as much as I can afford, I'm going to find the person to model to just shorten that path. So I'm such a big believer in it, man. So kind of walk us through what people can expect with going through GPS, and, what they get with it, and also the results that, a lot of your clients are getting.
Yeah, they can expect to get paid.
Yeah.
So one of your clients became one of my clients by watching my podcast on GPS. I mean, sorry, Get Shit Done, GSD. His name is Jesse Lauder. He's based in Alberta. Bought into my program. Made back his money in 2 days, Josh.
Nope.
Made a few $1,000s in 2 days. I had another entrepreneur named Dragana, never even did one Facebook Live. She's made tens of thousands of dollars, built out an entire online coach program, spoke on a stage of 400 people in Dallas, is in Dubai right now. Another client just texted me saying, I just closed a mid-six-figure gig in New York thanks to your advice. I have another client in Sweden who's only 21, who's had about 6 speeches this year. Another client who said my book and my speech changed her life last year when I met her. She spoke in Lithuania. So the results are really immediate and direct because of the fact that I didn't come from this speak to sell, Tony Robbins self-help model. I came from a corporate background where in corporations, you got to know your stuff. And I'm a New Yorker, so I'm very direct. So my clients have made money. More importantly, they made a difference. It comes down to 5 basic modules. I've been doing this for 17 years. So based on 17 plus years of experience all around the world, it comes down to 5 things. Why are you, Josh, the person that shared your story? And can you write a bio, which is what I call the only you bio? Only you should only be able to write that bio, because if someone else can write, I'm a realtor, I'm an entrepreneur, it's not a great bio. So the most simple question is, why are you the only you person to write that bio? It seems simple, but it's about the basics of life. So why are you the person to share that? Who's your actual client? Understanding, is it a corporation? Is it an association? Is it the government? Is it health? Is it schools? Is it college and universities? So who's your client? What you're going to talk about as a speaker or a coach. And it's kind of synonymous because I might not get paid, let's say on the front end. Let's say in Lithuania, I said, you know what? I want to build a rapport with this entrepreneur. He's one of the top entrepreneurs in the world in Lithuania for his age group. And I count my fees, but he still flew me out there. Though I didn't get paid on the front end, I got paid about 25 grand on the back end, from consulting work and what it might be. So it's not just about getting paid on the front end. And so that's what I'm going to talk about. In my case, I talk about entrepreneurship, I talk about branding, I talk about networking. And then the last 2 categories are, where do you find these clients? Both online and offline. It's never been easier now because you're accessible more. Then lastly, the how. The how is a secret sauce. The how I get my clients to get paid across the country or world is the secret sauce of asking very specific questions as soon as you get off stage. The how is really the secret sauce where I give them actual email templates, actual Instagram pictures, actual Facebook photo posts that I use myself. They can kind of tweak it a little bit, but the how is really the secret sauce. It's a sales scripting for a speaker. And then you also have a 6-month access to my Facebook community. I also do live Facebook chats. Again, I'm going to be doing an annual Gifter Summit where those that sign up today, you can just go to my website, Chris Devakai, or even just email me at chris@chrisdevakai.com. My last name is spelled Kai. But we have our first annual Gifter Conference at a Hollywood Hills mansion, 7,000 square foot. And the first 5 will actually be able to speak at a Fortune 500 company in Beverly Hills. Again, going back to tangible results. They'll get it videotaped. You get to speak at least the first 5. And it's actually only open to gifters. So you have to first invest in the program. And then I decide, and my team decides whether you're actually worthy of this amazing platform. Because we only have 30 people in this mastermind, my first annual Gifter Summit. But really, codified system, step by step. What is your story? Why are you the person to share it? Who's your client? What are you going to talk about? Where do you find them? And how to pitch them both in person, on the phone, or via email.
So, and you said that's at ChristopherKai.com?
ChristopherKai.com. There's a free training, an hour-long webinar, and then you can just buy it on the spot with a sales page where it just says GPS on the top right-hand side.
Yep. Webinars, my love, man. That's awesome, dude. So what would you say, like for you personally, how is dialing in and becoming a great public speaker and a professional paid public speaker? Because man, every time I talk to you and we talk, we try to connect about every 6 months or so and hopefully less, but life gets busy. But every time I talk to you, it's like, oh, it's just in this country. So you're getting paid big bucks, right? You get to go all over the world and see all these cool places. And, how has it changed your life? Like, what would you say, like the greatest thing about doing this craft and really mastering this has done for you?
That's a great question, Josh. That's why I love talking to you, because you ask these very insightful questions. We are really living in the most unprecedented time in human history as an entrepreneur. The online entrepreneurship, look what are we doing now? Zoom calls, webinars, right? And it's only in the last 10, 15 years, really in the last 5 years with technology. So we're living in a time where I can get on a plane to Barcelona and get clients there, work at a Starbucks, and still hang out in Lithuania or Zurich, and I can get paid anywhere in the world. And it's not just me. And that's kind of why I'm telling people, like, never in human history you have Wi-Fi and a computer. And many times I just have my smartphone. And that's one of the biggest aha, mind-blowing instances in my life and this is only in the last 2-3 years, because my first digital program was only 2 years ago. So I thought it was all BS, frankly, Josh. I'm like, what do these people sell? And I'm like, it makes sense now, because if you're going to invest $200,000 in a college degree where you can wipe your ass with, why would you invest $2,000 in your program or $3,000 or even $1,000? It's like, it makes no sense, because that's how we're taught. So the massively aha moment is true freedom, Josh, is when you can do whatever the hell you want, whenever you want, with whomever you want. I don't have the money that Elon Musk has yet. I don't have the fame as Katy Perry yet, but I can do whatever the hell I want, whenever I want, with whomever I want. And that is real freedom.
Yep. Yeah. People always ask me, like, why are you so obsessed with becoming a billionaire? Right? And it's like, just because I'm such a bullheaded, stubborn mofo that, like, I want that freedom. I want to do when I want, how I want to do it, whatever. Nobody can tell me no, right? And create that freedom. I mean, it becomes so powerful, man. So I love it, dude.
Yeah, and again, you don't have to be a billionaire. Like, they've had studies where that guy named Daniel Kahneman, he's a sociologist. He's like, once you pass $75,000, 7 million, 70 million, it really doesn't have that much of an impact. And I don't know if I absolutely agree with that, because I was just like at an Emmy event yesterday and I was hanging out with my buddy in a mansion. But it's still about, you get to a certain point, once you're in the $5-10 million range, unless you want to do bigger impact on the world stage, you're pretty comfortable, And I've seen that over and over, because it's one thing to say, Chris, I want to be a billionaire, I want to be a millionaire. But I've have so many friends that are, and it's like, you know what? And I have, a good amount of money myself, but it's like, I want to make a global impact. Therefore, I do need a lot more of a war chest. But if you're just happy having a family, being with your church and community, that's good too. There's no judgment. My mother is a former school teacher, right? She wanted to raise a family. But going back to that question, it's really about, if you're not waking up in the morning excited to live your life, then what the hell are you doing? Because what you started off with first, Josh, and I think we'll kind of end this because we're kind of coming to the end, right? I was actually in Barcelona when that attack happened. I was in Barcelona when this maniac drove a van down and killed 13 people. And it's about a mile long, and I thought it was much further than I was, but when I looked at the actual map, I'm actually about 50 feet away from Las Ramblas, this main street where we have all these tourists, and I was 2 blocks away from the guy where he stopped his van and got out, but I was 1 hour off. I had an actual accountability call with one of my business partners here, where it's 7 o'clock here, 4 o'clock there, but that tragic terrorist attack in Barcelona, Spain that happened a few weeks ago started at 4:50. So I could have been right there because I was only an hour off. But all these things remind you that, to be honest, Josh, if I did perish there, if I did get injured, I wouldn't have any regrets. People don't have to worry about, oh, poor Chris, he died in a terrorist attack. How sad. What if he stayed more safe and stayed in Beverly Hills? What if he didn't go there? But that's the fear that many of us have, and that's why we never live out our dreams, because they fear terrorism. They fear earthquakes. They fear the floods. And all this fear does not serve them. And so I think what you started with is a great point to end with, which is you don't know how long you're going to be here on this earth. And your story is something you need to share with the world. You're going to just do more in life if you have more money, you have more freedom, you have more choices.
Yep. No, I love it. And it's so true, man. It's like once you get clear on what you want and what your purpose is, and every single day, I mean, you might not be there, but every single day you're taking action steps to get one step closer. Those fears so quickly are eliminated, right? I mean, those fears exist for most people because it's like they know they're not taking the steps to create the life that they want to create. And they're kind of living this other life, and they have that fear because it's like, oh crap. I mean, that's why the shoulda, woulda, coulda exists, right? And I mean, I used to have those fears until I started working every day at creating the life that I know I want and deserve, and got clear on my passion. And just like you said, I no longer have those fears. I mean, of course, I wouldn't want to go prematurely because I want to see my kids, grow up and get married and whatever. But at the same point, I absolutely have no fear of death anymore in my life, right? Like if it ends tomorrow, dude, it was an epic ride, right? So it's just that little tweak, man. It becomes so powerful. It just becomes such a great place to be in this world.
Absolutely, man.
So love it, my man. Love it. So all right, you guys. So again, ChristopherKye.com, whether you're watching, listening, iTunes, Stitcher, YouTube, the website, wherever you're at, you'll be able to see his site there. Definitely go check it out. And I just want to stress this, you guys. Even if you're like, well, hey, I don't want to take on public speaking as a career, your ability to be able to lead your company is like one huge factor of that. Is how well you can inspire your people, how well you can fire your people up to take action, right? So becoming a better speaker 100% will affect every aspect of your business and your life, even if you're not trying to go share stages with Chris, right? It's still going to massively impact your business. And again, it's just something I can't stress enough. We all, and even if it's just with your clients, right? Deliver a presentation to your clients. Yeah, exactly.
It builds a sense of confidence where when you're a speaker, and you're part of my community, by the way, we're building out a global community. So you're getting constant inspiration from all around the world. And so it's not just about being on the stage. It's about being on your own stage of life, having that confidence and clarity and commitment for yourself. So if you learn how to be a speaker, you'll be a much better salesperson, much better persuader, and a better business person. And you just feel great about yourself.
Yep. Couldn't agree more. So, all right, my man. Well, I know I end every podcast with this, you guys, but information without implementation truly is just the start of delusion. Information isn't power. It's taking that information, taking action on it, implementing it, that creates power in your world so you can create the life you know you want and deserve. And again, Chris shared so many amazing pieces of advice with you guys today. Take something that you learned, take massive action. So again, you can create that life you know you want and deserve. Thank you guys so much for watching and listening. Chris, man, thank you for being here. It's always an honor, brother.
Awesome, brother. Have a great day.
All right, you as well. All right, you guys, we'll see you next time.
All right, bye.